I just split my channel into 3 playlists. So this one's just about spirit and science and philosophy and how all that ties together. I've been talking a lot about the Schumann resonance, Earth's frequency, and how that's shifting. And I've talked about a lot of that in my books, and I also talk about the Fibonacci sequence and Phi, and really how we're all built into these vibrations from above and below into all these different levels. So just to kind of touch on Phi and Fibonacci before I start weaving those together in the rest of this series, you know, Phi is what they call the golden ratio. It's 1.61, and then that number goes into infinity like how pi does. And so this is this perfect ratio, which I equate to being, you know, it's God. This is the God that we're trying to come back to, the perfect vibration. And so then they took this perfect ratio, and then they, you know, think of a bass string on a guitar. They strum this bass string, and all of a sudden this perfect line that was perfectly still and static was everything into one. Now it's vibrating at this huge frequency, and so it's going erratic, and it's going off both ends, and, you know, as it's cycling through, it's going farther and farther away from the center, and then it comes back, and then every time it comes back, it comes a little bit closer to the center, and it's getting a little bit closer to that perfection, a little bit closer to God, to spirit, to however you want to look at that. And so when you look at the Fibonacci sequence is, so it's 1 and 1, and then so you add those two together, and then that's 2. So then it's 1 and 2, yeah, that's 3. Then it's 2 and 3, and yeah, that's 5, and then it's 3 and 5, and you add that, it's 8, and so on and so on. And when you chart that, that gets closer and closer to Phi. Phi is this straight line, and then that Fibonacci sequence gets closer and closer and closer. You can look up, there's tons of stuff online on videos and my books. The cover of Uncaged Eden is a picture of this Fibonacci sequence. And so when you look at nature, you look at the shape of a pine cone, or limbs on a tree, or a snail shell, or the makeup of a galaxy, or all these above and below and the tiniest and biggest things. It's the same ratio, this thing trying to get closer and closer and closer to Phi. Like we were originally this all being, everything that there ever was, wound into this one bass string, and the cosmic bass player gave that a big old thump, and then it's vibrating bigger and bigger, and then it gets closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and then that's bringing us back to God, back to the all-knowing, back to the everything. And that's this journey that we're on. And I had all kinds of crazy dreams about this stuff I'll talk about later on. If you check out Uncaged Eden, I really go into depth on it in there. I just ordered a copy because I didn't even have a copy of it, so that'll be in here in like a week, and I'll start reading some stuff from that. Anyway, check out Stylist Transient, Liberation's Garden, Uncaged Eden. They're all free online. They talk about all this kind of stuff. And then check out this channel, because I'm going to keep talking about all this and weaving it all, how we're all this is pretty heady stuff. Just keep coming back. Talk to you later.